Insight. The first ever series to analyze the unexplored aspects and issues of Carnatic music. Dear Rasikas, welcome to the 19th episode of our Insight series. In the previous 3 episodes, we had discussed about Gamakas, which is indeed a very fascinating aspect of our Carnatic music. In fact, some of the books mention Gamakas as embellishments, but I would say that they are not really embellishments but an integral part of the note itself, in the sense that if in a raga we just have the notes, then it does not become that particular raga. It is only because of the gamaka that goes along with the note that makes it typically a particular raga. So that way we could say that gamakas are very, very integral to the note for it to become a raga, and also we could say that they are very, very important in terms of giving life to the raga. Gamaka is a vast ocean subject, I would say, but I'm also very, very happy to share that many of our viewers have expressed a lot of interest in this subject, and they said that they want to know more about this because this also helps them to identify ragas better. I will take up some more random thoughts on this particular subject now here. Of course, we have a lot of treatises talking about the Dashaveda Gamakas and all that, but I thought I will look at it in a more practical preview, and so that's why I'm going to share some other views which came to my mind actually. The first I would like to discuss in this episode is about the Kala Pramana. How the Kala Pramana of a note actually defines the Gamaka. That is a very, very important subject in the sense that if you have a particular Gamaka in the slow tempo, then that reveals a different color. If it is in the medium tempo, it gives a different color, and if it's in a fast tempo, a different color. Which means that the same note in a particular raga can acquire different colors according to the Kala Pramana in which it is happening actually. Let us take an example for this. I will take up the ragam Madhyamavati, where the Rishabha is a very, very important note and also oscillated with Gamakas. We look into the Arohana Avarona first. Sari ma pa ni sa sa ni pa ba ri sa. So the Ri has got an oscillation, and that gives a lot of life to the ragam. Sari pa ba ri sa ni pa ri sa ri ri re ma pa ma ri re ma pa ni pa ma ri sa. This I sang in a very relaxed gait. This relaxed gait is reflected more in Rendigala Kirtanas. For example, if you take Ramakatha, Ramakatha Sudha Ramakatha. The katha, that tha, that syllable is oscillating on the Ri. Ra sa ni pa ri sa ri. Here, with so much space happening after that Rishabha, that Ri is like, it's oscillating, and slowly the oscillation fades away. Ramakatha Sudha. Now the same Ri in a Madhyama Kala tempo, For example, Nadupai balikeru narulu Shri Ramana Nadupai balikeru. The word balikeru, re 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 mari sari, re 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 mari sari, that is how it happens here. Now suppose I take a more fast tempo composition in the same ragam. Nagumobu galavani namano haruni jagamelu suruni janaki varuni nagumobu, where the composition itself starts on the re, re 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 ma pa ma re sa re 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 re. So now let us look at all the three re's in the context of Ramakatha, Nadupai and this Nagumo. In the first we saw Ramakatha, so re. In the second, Nadupai balikeru, re 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 mari sari. In the third one, re 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 re. So you could probably see that the same Rishabha in the context of three Kala Pramanas attains different colors, in the sense that what do you mean by the color? It is the same Rishabha, it is the same Madhyamavati. So what do I mean by color here is that when you look at it in terms of a descriptive notation, you will see that the journey undertaken by that particular note in terms of the adjacent notes it's encompassing is very different in each case. And that's why the sound effect also becomes different in different Kala Pramanas. And in this context, I would definitely like to make a mention about the Mummurtigal, especially Tyagarajar here, where you see that he has probably used one particular ragam to compose many songs, but then he has also adopted different Kala Pramanas, which again shows his insight into the raga, what a deep insight he had in terms of how the same raga could show different dimensions in different Kala Pramanas. Here this example of Ramakatha, Nadupai and Nagumomu, all three compositions by the same Tyagaraja, was a classic example to show you how that they were great visionaries in terms of not only looking at a raga. Here again, I beg to differ with many of the people who say that all this was just a spiritual or divine outpour. Beyond this spiritual outpour, which definitely was there, because without the grace of Rama or without the grace of God, nobody can compose such wonderful, spectacular compositions. But then, beyond that, he was a great visionary in terms of the musical thought process, and that is reflected in every composition of his. Again, in the same context, suppose I take Bahudari. He never attempted to create a Chaukakala Kirtana in Bahudari, because he knew that the Bahudari itself, again Bahudari was one of the ragas created by him, where he visualized that this raga sounded best in terms of being only in the Madhyama Kala. So Brova Bharama, which you hear classically, Brova Bharama Raghurama, Brova Bharama Raghurama Bhuvanamellani. This is in a typically a Madhyama Kala Kirtana, where when he probably thought about Bahudari and how it should be in terms of the structure, he also thought about the Kala Pramana in which the raga would shine at its best. So now if I use this ragam for a alapana, for example, now the same thing, if I do it as the exact picture of the ragam will not come. Giving the entire contour that comes only through in the Madhyama Kala here. And he was also a visionary. Here we could say that when he used Shankarabharanam or a Kalyani or a Kambodi in a Rendikale, he knew that these ragas had every note embedded or embellished with gamakas, and that's why they could also be a true reflection in terms of being present as a composition in the Rendikale. This I can go on and on to examine every composition to show how Tyagaraja, Dikshidhar and Shyama Sastri looked at the ragam not only in terms of the notes but beyond the notes in terms of even the Kala Pramana. The next point here I would like to share in the terms of Kala Pramana itself is, we will go to a more basic level. When we are teaching the Sarali Varsa, we often tell them, Sarali or Janta, we tell the children, sing in 3 speeds. Singing in 3 speeds is not just about some kind of an accomplishment where you sing in the first speed, you double it and sing in the second speed, and then that doubles and becomes the third speed. It is also an important area for observation in terms of how the same note sounds in the first column, how the same note sounds in the second column and in the third column. We will just take up Sarigama Padanisa, and here again I request your keen attention, because in many cases we see that the teacher tells them onna kalam padu, renda kalam, moona kalam. But beyond that, what is happening to the note, what is happening to the nature of the note when it is part of a onnangalam or second speed or third speed offers for interesting observation. Let us look at one example. Sa ri ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni ta pa ma ga re sa. I will now split the same thing within one avarta. So you see how the first, second and third speed I am trying to sing within one avarta and try to examine how the gamaka changes. Then I'll explain to you. Sa re ga ma sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa sa ni da pa ba ga re sa re ga ma sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa sa ni da pa ba ga re sa. Now if I am going to sing it further speed, sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da ba ga re sa, re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da ba ga re sa, re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da ba ga re sa, re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da ba ga re sa. So the journey undertaken even by that note, for example, you just take the Rishabha Sariga, if you take the phrase Sa Ri Sa, how the oscillation is happening. Now cutting short that Kala Pramana to just half, Sa Ri Sa Sa Ri, it becomes like that. Then next speed when you are taking Sa Re Ga Ma. So also it implies that as the speed increases, the gamaka quotient becomes less. Because if you keep on applying the same gamaka which you did in the first Kala Pramana, you cannot push the notes to that speed. So in each speed there is also a lesson for us to understand how the gamaka operates, how you are actually have to sing the note in order to fix it within that Kala Pramana with the required gamakas. I will take another example here of Matya Talam to show you just one example. Sa ri ga ri sa ri ga ma ga ri ga ma pa sa ri ga ga ma ga ma pa sa ri ga ga ma ga ma pa ga ma pa da ni. Here also in the third speed we see that we are hitting the notes faster. So every Kala Pramana also has an important role to play in terms of how the gamaka is executed. And in this context, you would also see that the raga alapana that we sing in a kacheri gives a lot of room for the kala pramana exploration, in the sense that is why it is also a very beautiful form. We say that it's a free form. When the tala comes into the fore, there is a regulated way in which the gamaka has to operate. But here it is like, throwing open the sky to you. So you are just free to explore. But then, though there is no tala, there is definitely a kala pramana involved in the alapana also. But then there is no fixed kala pramana in terms of proportion that if the first speed is sung, the second has to be just the double or like that. So the alapana here, in terms of giving the gamaka its due share, I would say, where you are able to explore the gamaka in a very, very relaxed pace. You are able to explore the gamaka in a medium tempo, a fast tempo. And if you have the voice facility, you can go to extreme speeds of exploration of the gamaka in the alapana. That is why it's also a very, very beautiful form, I would say, that has been created in our system as part of the Manodharma Sangeeta. The next aspect I would like to share here, again in Kala Pramana, I'll give you an example of a Varnam where I think the students will be able to understand, because that is also one area where the teachers tell the children to sing in 2 speeds. That is quite common at an advanced level. So where, like for example, if you take the Panturali Varnam, Sa Mi Ni Ne Nam Mi Na Na Pai Sa Mi Ni Ne Nam Mi Na Pai. After we finish singing all this, when we sing in the second speed, Sa Mi Ni Ne No Na Pai Chala Mela Che Se Bura. So knowingly or unknowingly, we are actually employing the gamaka in different colors in the first and second speed. This also applies to the notes we are singing. For example, if you take in the same Panturali, Ni da pa ma ga ma pa da ni da pa ma ga ri ni sa ri ga da ni re ga ma da ni sa ni da pa ma ga ma. Same thing when you are singing in the second speed. Ni da pa ma ga ma pa da ni da pa ma ga ni sa ri ga da ni re ga ma da ni sa ni da pa sa ni da pa ma ga ma pa. And interestingly, I would also like to draw your attention to the fact that there have been some singers who have adopted as part, even in fact the voice also had that kind of facility for a relaxed Kala Pramana. So when the voice has got that kind of a relaxed Kala Pramana, for example, if you take the musicians like M.D. Ramanathan, where you see that his music had a very, very Vilamba kind of approach, you also see that a lot of gamakas have come to be employed in the course of the music itself. In the case of musicians where the music itself is fast and pacey, some sacrifice has to be done to the gamakas if you have to really sing something very fast. So it's very, very interesting aspect I wanted to share here is that the Kala Pramana plays a very, very important role in defining the color and the nature of the gamaka. This is very important area that we should understand, because it also helps us to look deeper into a composition or an alapana when a note is rendered in a slow pace or in a fast pace, how it acquires different dimensions. Also, of course, in combination with other notes, what kind of a dimension it acquires. This subject of gamakas is really very, very interesting. I would also like to share with you how the Gamakas define certain phrases in ragas, and that's why you're able to identify that, oh, this is this ragam or that ragam. And there are many more interesting aspects to the Gamakas. As I said earlier also, Rasikas should look beyond a composition, beyond a ragam, beyond the notes, and look deeper into the notes in order to understand what a beautiful and fascinating system our Carnatic music is. With this, I conclude this particular episode. I am very, very happy about the wonderful feedback we've been receiving for all our episodes, and that really keeps us motivated to do much better and keep doing a lot of new areas in terms of exploration. If you have any questions or if you want to share your feedback on our program, please do WhatsApp or email to us. Thank you.